Hi, we're Rage Badger Gaming, and today we're going to be going over the hype for Frosthaven!
Frosthaven!
Here are the top 5 reasons we're hyped for Frosthaven coming out later this year.
Hopefully. It's tentatively scheduled to be released in July, and we'll be doing a lot of Frosthaven coverage leading up to its release.
Getting into it, number 5, Frosthaven is going to have scenario books like Jaws of the Lion did. Unfortunately, we have to wait for the scenario books to release because it's not coming with the original launch of Frosthaven. In case you weren't unaware, have not purchased Jaws of the Lion, scenario books make setup so much easier and faster, has its own custom artwork for each scenario. In addition to the scenario book, there's going to be way more scenarios, going from 96 in Gloomhaven to 150.
It's huge.
That's a lot of scenarios!
Frosthaven campaigns are going to be, as a result, notably longer than Gloomhaven, which already has a reputation for having a very long campaign. The Frosthaven scenario book is going to be more similar to Forgotten Circles in that the relevant bits of information and every tile will have its own little segment. But instead of Forgotten Circles, which had various pages where you'd find this information on, you have to flip back and forth, they've consolidated it in an effort to reduce some of that, what was expressed as frustration during people playing Forgotten Circles.
You're frustrated!
Yeah, and at least having all the special rules on one page so you didn't go like, well, here's page 1, here are the special rules for this. Now you open this door, all the special rules are on this page, and you have to flip back between like the special rules here. All the special rules will be on one page, but all the setup stuff will be divided so you don't accidentally look ahead and get a spoiler of, oh no, this is in this room, or see a treasure chest.
Not only are there more scenarios, the writing for them is so much better in Frosthaven.
From the publicly available scenarios, if you look at just the first 2 scenarios leading up to the introduction to Frosthaven, why are you there, and how the experience is. Gloomhaven started with some pretty standard text, and through the campaign was relatively unexceptional. I'm not saying that it's just the worst writing ever, but it was like, oh, that was fine. Frosthaven gets you right in there. The first scenario text, with no spoilers. You get to introduce the characters, and they have personality. You understand the hardship of arriving and the situation they're in, and you're suddenly so much more immersed. And I'm like, wait, we've only playtested 1 scenario, and I'm already into it. Whereas Gloomhaven, I was like, why are we getting the scroll? Or I guess we're getting paid, sure. And I wasn't invested. I'm immediately invested. In the second scenario text, it's just as thorough. It's just so much better. If that's been a problem for you in Gloomhaven, you're like, oh, they're just some random scenarios. Trust me, Frosthaven will get you hooked instantly.
Number 4, the events. The Outpost events, the road events. They're going to be a lot different, more variety. The cards will be different depending on if it's winter or summer.
The cool part about this is you start the campaign with the first day of summer. Just barely arriving, you get a lot of these easier summer events. Then you get to the harsh winter events. You get very, very important information that the winter events you need to be ready for them. So they give you some time instead of just throwing you into the deep end and feeling helpless. The cool part also is now the events will just tell you by default if there's nothing, you get rid of the event. But there will be a few events that say just put it on the bottom. So there's going to be way less repetition instead of it's the wolves event, which one do we want to do this time? Oh, it's the green berries. And speaking of the green berries, the event there is, do you eat it or do you not eat it? And he wants less of, do you do the thing or do you not do the thing? I actually really loved the example he gave of there's ships and there's like a warning on them and there's crates with oozing black liquid. It's not, do you investigate or not? It's, do you crank it open and see what's inside those crates? Or burn it all down? And then both of those do something and then add other events into the deck based off of it.
Number 3, Class Masteries! These are a one-time thing. Per character, you do a special thing that is very difficult to do, and you get 15 experience.
On top of all the other rewards, so you can really advance your character. Also, you've got at least the sense of accomplishment saying, I pulled this off. So it's a little bit of a two-way thing. And not only that, but they're all so specific per class. Having seen about the 100 of from the 100 or so masteries we've seen the playtesters submit for ideas, I don't know how many of them are going to make them to the game, but they're so creative, and all of them like per class. The example he gave is the Necromancer. Have 6 cards in your active zone at the same time. So if you ever consider that maybe scenarios are, oh, this one's a little too easy, challenge yourself by trying to not only do your battle goal, but also do your class mastery and try to complete the scenario with your group. Adds as much challenge as you want to the game.
Achievements! Number 2, the classes. Even if you take a look at the starting classes, you can see these are way advanced and super unique.
Yeah, you look at the Gloomhaven classes, you see 4 pretty typical classes you'd see with like the fighter, rogue, cleric, and mage kind of roles, with their own little bit of touch to them to make it more Gloomhaven-y. Frosthaven says, hey, you know what? You guys already know how to play. We're going to give you some cool stuff right off the bat. Between you've got Geminate, who has 2 hands and 2 miniatures, Blinkblade, who you have to decide if you're going fast or slow before you even pick your turn, and then every card has 2 initiatives on it depending on if it's fast or slow, and you have to worry about adding time counters if they go up or down and figure out what you're doing with your turn, because some of the abilities will depend on if you're going fast or slow or not, and you can only go fast if you have these counters. And that's just the 2 of the classes. You have Necromancers, all these things you can put into play, and then you have to really consider, is it safe? Are they going to die or not? Because I'm going to be taking damage when I summon these. The Drifter, who you have to worry about these cards that are persistent abilities, and then they will fall off if you let them run out of charges. And he has so many of them. And all of his cards are a little behind some of the other classes. However, since he has these permanent buffs in play and a hand size of 12 and the high health pool, you can kind of tailor what you want to do. You need to do range damage. He's actually a ranged attacker. You need to tank. He's got shield and retaliate. You need melee. Guess what? He's got melee and he's got healing. The best part about this is, even if you're like, well, I might bring this card and then change your mind during the scenario, if you haven't put it into play yet, the other side of the effects of those are really good for the other cards. So, you're like, oh crap, I don't need to melee, I need to do more ranged. The bottom half of one of those cards says move and then push one of your counters back, which is like, oh, well, that's universally good no matter what build you're going for. So Drifter is a great, and that's just, there's still more, and he even added with another hidden class because they passed Kingdom Death on the Kickstarter, and then there was already the planned locked classes. It's going to be amazing. If you already loved the class diversity in Gloomhaven, Frosthaven has more depth, and it's just going to be incredible.
Here's a shout out to our awesome Inox tier patrons.
If you ever want to join the Discord at any tier, just sign up to Patreon, and you can hop in and talk to us.
And at number 1, resources, crafting, and building. Whenever you loot, you can get money or resources like wood, leather, herbs, etc.
You'll not only use these resources to purchase things from merchants and enhance your cards, but you'll also use these to advance your outpost, building key buildings, unlocking new things, and the herbs. They don't really give you the recipe on how to make potions. You have to discover them yourselves, how to make them in Frosthaven. There's a little bit of leniency where as you unlock like a blacksmith, they'll tell you this is what I need to make you better weapons. But for alchemy, you'll have to figure it out on your own.
So one thing that we can share is that when someone retires, possibly they retire and make a building in Frosthaven, and that's like one way you unlock a new building.
Yeah, they kind of just settled down and improved Frosthaven as an outpost. So instead of just like, bye, they're in Gloomhaven, they're like, hey, here's my contribution to the outpost. It may or may not be a building, but it'll be something.
It's nice that you can check up on your, former group mates and see how they're doing.
Because there's a lot of herbs and a lot of herb combinations, there's going to be notably more potions. So instead of like, hey, I have a mana potion or a power, a stamina, or healing, you've got like 4 options before with maybe a couple other small things. Throw those notions away. There's more than double the number of potions you're used to. And they have very cool effects. So don't just try to gun for I want to find the stamina potion, which is not as good as the Gloomhaven one. So even if you're gunning for it, it's not going to be as good. But it's still great, and all the other potions feel just as valuable. But before you go hunting for all the herbs and trying to build up your character, get great armor, you have to consider, we have this many weeks until winter hits.
Winter is coming.
Winter is coming. It's always looming when you're in that summer season waiting for it. And all events, everything is far more brutal during winter. Are you ready? Have you built up Frosthaven's defenses, which you have to spend your own resources to help with? And otherwise, you can actually have buildings get wrecked and you have to repair them. So imagine like building up these cool buildings and then having like one event draw and 3 buildings get wrecked. Now you have to rebuild them just to use them. You're like, this was not a good use of resources. So you have to find that delicate balance of we've reinforced Frosthaven while not, and handicapping yourself by not spending on yourself to give yourself armor and potions to be able to complete the scenarios. Is there something that was discussed in the Kickstarter that you're excited about but we didn't mention in the video? Let us know in the comments below.
If you like this video, hit that like button. And if you want more Frosthaven information as it's released, hit that subscribe button. We'll be doing it every month.
Thanks for watching.